This is the formation of a cup form. Even though it's nicely formed, you have to kind of stun it to break it up and get rid of all the air bubbles then that you might have generated here, and you try to form it in that type of shape. And the next process when you're making something on the wheel is to center it. And you can see just looking at that, it's pretty wobbly. So use a little water, and then you increase the speed of the wheel, and your hands try to immobilize the clay. One of the things about centering is that you keep your hands locked together, so that then you form a vise. If I just took one hand and just pushed it down, I'd knock it off center, and the form would never be right. Then you flatten it out a little bit. So if you took this clay in this form, you could do one of two things. You could make a straight cylinder form coming straight up, or you could bring it out as a bowl. And in this case, we're going to bring it as a small cylinder. Find the midline straight down. Keep everything in the center. Once again, if you got off, you'd be wobbly. And one of the goals is to not go through the bottom. It's no injustice. You could just say, I went through the bottom, and then you could roll out a piece of clay on the table and make a bottom. So it's all is not lost if you go through the bottom, but generally you usually leave a bottom of around 3 millimeters, quarter of an inch. Now I'm opening up the cylinder to what I would like is the base. And then you have to kind of flatten this down here, because if you don't flatten it down and put some oomph against it, it will weaken during the drying process, and you could get something called an S-crack. So it's important to firmly compress the bottom. So now I just kind of start bringing up the, squeeze a little water. I start bringing up the side a little bit. Stabilize the rim. Then I'm going to collar in a little bit, just to contact, help with the form. Kind of a 6-point. So let's use this technique. We'll just say put that here, and this here is just a marker, and then this is creating a design. You can create a little design inside too, kind of a circumferential look in there. And actually you could dry out coming up. Do that. Just turning the wheel the same way. Just kind of using linear manipulation instead of the rounded one, so that in the end you'll just have that line continue down the way. Now that looks a little unsettled, but then it can be softened up some by just kind of doing that with a sponge. I don't worry about blobs here and there. Okay, that's probably enough for the finished product.